Hi, I'm Jan Doyle. Welcome to WYSE Talk. I'm very, very excited to have today's guest with us. She's the owner of Eva Page Quilt Designs, and her name is Beth Helfter. So, Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jan. It's nice to be here.
And did I pronounce your last name right or wrong?
You eventually got it right. It's Helfter. There's no N in
Helfter.
there. A lot of people like to put an N or an S. There's not. There's enough consonants in there already. We don't need those.
Okay, well, thank you eventually. You're so sweet. Um, I had the pleasure of meeting you about maybe it's a couple months ago now. And I have to say, you really reflect your motto that you have on your website, and that is inspired designs, relaxed attitude. That really is you. How did you come up with that motto or tagline?
Well, I would say it wasn't so much coming up with it as just being like, what am I really about? And I've never been about perfectionism. In fact, my very first trunk show continues to be called Perfection is Overrated because I just want to have fun. I want my students to have fun. I want to have fun. I want my patterns to be fun. I don't want people pulling their hair out. I don't want them to get frustrated. I don't want them to just start a project and not be able to finish it. So I just like to be able to instill a good, relaxed attitude with every aspect.
Well, I have to tell you, do you carry that on in life?
Oh, yeah.
Because I had some issues with the Zoom that I was setting up, and I don't know why it didn't work. It's worked in the past, but I texted you or emailed you, and this is what you said. No worries.
That's right. That's right. I don't have to join a Zoom. That's not a problem. Yeah.
So I was really, really excited about that. Now, could you tell me about accordion sewn half square triangles?
I absolutely could. So the accordion sewn half square triangles is kind of what I'm known for these days. I am a very scrappy designer, and they kind of came about because I wanted to be able to have half square triangles that weren't necessarily identical twins, if that makes sense. You know how
It does.
traditionally you would put two fabrics together, sew down either side, and then you'd end up with identical twin half square triangles. But I was like, well, there's got to be a way to be able to attach two different squares to two different sides of a square and get fraternal twins, shall we say. So I came up with a method, and this is what you end up getting when you make your half square triangle with an
Oh,
accordion. I know you have some
interesting.
photos to show too, but I just thought, well, I have it here. So that's what it ends up looking like until you cut it apart. And then you have all sorts of half square triangles that are all just a little bit different. And depending on the order that you put them in, you can lay like this block here would lay out perfectly into kind of a hunter star sort of block. Sometimes I make them so that you just are going to have all of the correct combinations of fabrics that you're going to need for whatever you're doing, but you don't have to keep them in order. So it's what I do now. I've written a couple books about it. I've written a lot of patterns about it. I teach a lot of classes. It's really what I do at this
Well,
point.
let's get into some of the pictures that I have. So give me a minute to pull up my PowerPoint, and
Sure.
then we'll talk about your books and some of the pictures that you sent me. Okay.
Awesome.
Now, Beth, we talked very briefly that you wrote a couple of books, and this is the first book. It's called Oompa. I love the title. How did that come about? I loved it.
Well, I'm so glad. I came about it because oompa is sort of something I think of when I think of accordions, right? And so whether it's an oompa band or the sound that an accordion makes, whatever. So this particular book, I just called it oompa because I was like, hey, I can put like an exclamation point and it'll just be awesome. That'll be perfect. And then all of the patterns in this book, the names of them are all kind of like jazzy or polka-y. Like I've got something called hurdy-gurdy. I've got a pattern called ragtime. I've got, yeah, stuff like scattered stars with scat dash or stars. Yeah.
Very creative.
So I'm
Very
very
creative.
punny. I'm very punny. My daughters hate it, but I am.
Now you have another book, another round of Oompa.
Yes, yes, they were about 2 years apart, and I have self-published both of them, so they are available either on my website or on Amazon, actually. And it was really fun because I was able to take most of the concepts in the first book and not necessarily start from scratch, but just kind of like start seeing what else I could do, make some more bigger patterns, shall we say. The first book has some smaller ones and
Mhm.
a few bigger ones, but I would say the second book has more large projects and things like that.
Is there
So,
a third book in your future?
not at the, I mean, there will be, yes, but I am currently focused on, I'm teaching a lot nationally and I just don't have time to, write.
Right, right.
You
Under,
really do need like 6 months of not traveling too much. And I just, unfortunately, and fortunately, I just don't have that right now. And I'm trying to kind of come up with a concept that's the same but different. I don't want to keep writing the same book. So, yeah, eventually.
how about Papa?
That would be cute. That would be cute.
Just
Well,
thinking,
I do want to involve, I don't know if you can see behind me, I'll show you later, but I have a new way of putting piping into the accordions when I make them, and I call it the Flying Frankies. So I want to definitely put that into a third book.
okay, great. Well, the
Yeah.
next picture I have, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so this would be one example of how your accordion can be ordered. So you can see that it looks like it was put together pretty deliberately, as far as I didn't just throw things in there. It looks like it's sort of a little bit of a pattern. And then when you cut it apart, you've got all of the different combinations of fabrics that you're going to need to lay it out into this particular part here. So you can see that toward the left end, there's a couple that were half square triangles already that I shoved in there so that I could get the I don't know what you would call it. The half is a half square triangle and half is the full, nobody knows the name for that particular little block.
Okay.
So then but you don't have to keep the pieces in order when you're cutting them apart and trimming them and all of that. So, you just are piling them up into like things, and then you lay out your block according to the layout. So that's one way you can use the accordion sewn.
Well, then I have this one, this picture.
Oh, this picture is really just so that you can see the close-up idea of why I might have come up with this. See, if you look at this green fabric right down the middle there, on one side it's attached to a white, and on the other side it's attached to a yellow. So if I were to cut this guy all apart, among the other combinations of fabrics I would have is that green would now be in a half square triangle with white and a half square triangle that's with yellow. So you
Oh, interesting.
combination. Yeah.
Interesting. I love
Yeah.
your fabric selection. It's a beautiful choice of fabrics.
Oh, thank you. I do think I'm pretty good with it. I do. Like, just to pat myself on the back.
I think you are. Then I have now this one. Tell me about this.
Yeah. Okay, so this is another example of putting them in order, but this is a very simple order, right? Because it's just going back and forth with basically two different colors and a background. So I've got coral, I've got teal, and I've got gray. So all I did was stick a gray in between all of each of the corals, and then just kept going and put it in between each of the teals. So it's one big long accordion, and this was able to create one of the blocks, or excuse me, this entire accordion made one entire quilt in my Another Round of Oompa book.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
just made of half square triangles with gray on one side, but then
And it looks terrific how it looks, it reminds me of the way you style this. On an airplane, you wear those neck things. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So if you just sewed it all together, we could have,
every class I teach, because you do have to join the ends, and a lot of times they're just the right size so that people put crowns on their heads of them. So yeah, that people are very funny.
I think that's our last one, and I'm going to hit
Okay.
stop share so we come back up. Now, I wanted to know, I understand you're teaching at Paducah, or tell me
am.
about that. That's terrific.
Oh, it's very exciting. Yes, I did teach at Lancaster many years ago, but just one class. And I thought they were never going to have me back. And I was so excited when I got the call and they were like, we would love to have you again. And I figured, well, South Carolina or someplace else. And they're like, no, in Paducah. What? So that's very exciting. I've never been, so I'm going to get that off my bucket list. I'm teaching 5 or 6 classes. I can't remember exactly.
5 classes?
Yeah, and I am going to be teaching the Flying Frankies. So here we have the Flying Frankies.
Wow.
The accordion sewn, but we're able to put a little piping in there. So I'm going to teach a little tote bag with that, although this quilt will be coming with me. And also a couple other accordion sewn and some other scrappy things, because as you can see, like most of my stuff is just real scrappy.
5 classes, that's a tremendous amount of classes.
Well, don't scare me, Jan. I think it's gonna be okay.
I'm thinking, because I'm teaching 2 classes at the Vermont Quilt Festival, and I was thinking that's a lot, because they're all-day classes.
Quilt Festival too. We'll have to have
You're
lunch.
going to be there also?
Oh yeah, that was a very last minute thing. Just as of this week, they've tapped me. So apparently I'm going to be there too. So, but I'm doing 3 there, and I was like, okay, that's enough. So I understand. Yeah.
Now, when you're in Paducah, are you going to have time to see the museum?
I don't know.
Because that's my goal in life.
Yeah, I know. And my daughter goes to James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and that's where the National Quilt Museum is. Did you know this? Or the Virginia Quilt Museum, which I did not know until we were moving her into college, and I saw it there, and it's really cute. And Pat Sloan is actually doing something with them this week. So
this is the Virginia Quilt Museum?
The Virginia Quilt Museum, yes. So I definitely have to go there this summer. I've got that on my bucket list.
Well, I just wrote it down on my bucket list.
Well, there you go.
You know, because I didn't know anything about it. But
yeah, I didn't either.
Paducah has always been of interest. I should apply there next year. Now, I wanted to ask you, what if people wanted to contact you, because how many courses do you have available to teach?
It's ever changing depending on whether I get bored with stuff or whatever. But it's usually I usually have a selection of. I always have 4 different lectures that I give. And I want to say right now I have 7 or 8 workshops that I'm willing to do.
Wow. So, you're a busy lady.
Well, and I do some of them on Zoom. Actually, I could do almost all of them on Zoom. There's one that I do that you really can't, because everybody has to bring fabric to share, and we can't do that if we're
no. I have to tell everybody, when I met you a couple of months ago, you brought me to your guild to give a talk. And I had no idea how she poo poo papa you were. You were very low key. And I'm thinking, and I'm the lecturer here, but you are phenomenal. I wish I knew it there so I could have touched your arm.
Oh my gosh. No. Oh my gosh. You crack me up. I am nobody. I am just doing my thing and sharing it with the world. It's really no biggie. And you were fantastic. People are still telling me what a great lecture that was. So,
well, thank you. Thank you. And it was such a joy being there. But that taught me I should do a little more research on the people I'm speaking to beforehand.
Why? I mean,
So, but you are highly accomplished, and I hope that we're going to wrap this up now. But just before we do, I want you to just let the viewers know, what is your website and your contact information?
My website is evapagequilts.com. And then my email is just evapagequilts@charter.net. There is an I in Page. It's my older 2 daughters are Eva and Paige, and that's where the name came from. So that's, the official name of my business is Eva Page Quilt Designs, but just forget the designs. evapagequilts.com, evapagequilts@charter.net.
And I want to let the viewers know that I'm going to be putting on a slide at the end of the talk, so people will have it written down that they can see. It'll be a little easier for them. It was a treasure. I hope we can do this again, and I look forward to seeing some great things from you.
Oh, I look forward to seeing what those are going to be, because I have no idea at the moment. But yes, there will be more.
Good. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.